Hi guys, it's SimLicy here, so welcome to another part of my Renovating Base Game series. This is a series where I am renovating base game using only base game to do it. So yeah, you can find this build on the gallery if you guys are interested, and it'll be base game only, which is pretty exciting because this is a really big house, and I have built quite a few base game builds, but very few that are even close to this big. So I think it was quite the challenge to make each space feel different because base game is only so big, but I think I did a good job and hopefully you guys will like it. This is the Oakenstead lot in case you guys aren't familiar with Willow Creek. You can find it over by the Spencer Kim Lewis family's house. And yeah, I actually liked the original house. I think it was pretty cute. The only thing I really didn't like about it was the color scheme. I liked the different colors that were used, but all of them together just felt kind of confusing because there was orange couches and dark blue curtains and then light blue walls and then green on the exterior, and it just, there's even some creams and stuff, which creams can go with most things, but it just felt kind of just all over the place, and I wanted to make it more cohesive. And I was actually not planning on building in this lot at all, and I was planning on not building in Willow Creek for the next part of this series. I was actually planning on going to Oasis Springs because I feel like I've kind of neglected that world, but I was browsing on Pinterest as I always do, and I came across this I think it was a watercolor image. I'll find it again and I'll put it up on screen so you guys can see what I was looking at, but I saw it and I could just picture it on this lot basically, and I thought that I could turn the existing home into that house. For the most part, it's not identical 100%, but it's pretty darn close, and I'm really happy with it because I just thought that house looked so pretty and it was just so cute, and it just reminded me of a big southern mansion, and I think this lot deserves that. I think the house that was here was kind of close to it, but it wasn't very grand feeling. It was just kind of big, and I wanted this house to feel extra special. So yeah, that's what I went for, and I really like it. Hopefully you guys will like it as much as I do. I should probably mention that this is going to be in 2 parts because I spent a very long time on this build. When I put all of the video footage into my editor and sped it up, it was 50 minutes with just the building part, and so then screenshots would be another I don't know, maybe 7-10 minutes or something. And so I decided, since it was pretty evenly split between the exterior and the interior, that it'd be a good opportunity to make 2 videos out of 1. I usually try not to do that just because I prefer not to, but this time I think it was kind of necessary. So hopefully you guys don't mind, and hopefully I'll have the second part out very quickly so you guys can watch them together if you would like to. Something I really liked about this house actually was the blue wallpaper used in both the dining room and one of the bedrooms, and so I decided to use that quite a bit in the main part of the house. At least the blue in the dining room I used in I think the whole living area for the most part, and I just thought it was really pretty. I don't know if I just hadn't noticed how pretty that wallpaper was before, or if I just didn't really remember it, but I just thought it looked really nice, and so I decided to use it. And then I decided to change the exterior to blue as well, just because I don't know, I liked the green originally and I tried using the green, but I wanted to use blue on the exterior, and then I felt like if I used green on the exterior and the blue on the interior, it wouldn't feel as cohesive as I wanted it to, and it would feel more like the original build, which I guess I still wanted it to feel somewhat like the original build, and I think it does mostly in the kitchen because I really liked the original kitchen, so I left a lot of that very similar, but I added a sunroom off the back of the house, and so that's kind of added to the kitchen even though it's not technically part of the kitchen. And I also made the kitchen a little bit smaller because it was very big. And so it's still a very big kitchen, but I added a downstairs bathroom over there. There's still the original bathroom that was in the original place, so you'll see that, and then I also added a little I'll call it a back porch area, even though it's enclosed, but a mudroom area. So if you're coming in from outside and you're a bit dirty, you could take off your shoes there, and then you could go straight away into that bathroom that's right there too and get cleaned up and stuff. So I feel like that was pretty realistic. I also changed the exterior quite a bit. This is probably my most renovated build out of this entire series that I've done so far. I've been trying to keep the renovations fairly simple and trying to not change the builds too much and keeping kind of the renovations a bit more realistic that way. but I just couldn't help it, especially wanting it to look like that image that I was looking at on Pinterest. Then there was pretty much no way around changing it a lot. And so hopefully it's like somewhat recognizable as the original build in some way, but hopefully it feels extra special because that was what I was going for. So for the interior, like I said, it will be in the next part, but I do want to mention what I did to like the layout, because the layout I also didn't really like too much. I felt like especially the second floor was a bit confusing. The first floor I think was fine. The rooms were just so big and I felt like they were unnecessarily big, and I don't know, it just feels kind of awkward in The Sims and a bit harder to decorate when the rooms are so big. At least for me anyways, I feel like decorating smaller spaces, it's easier to make a room feel full with less if the space is smaller, obviously. I did leave the dining room as big as it was originally, but instead of having the dining table in there, I decided to make it more of like a formal seating area with a piano, and it's just super cute. I really like the way that space turned out. And then I made the family room at the very back of the left side of the build where the living room was originally, except for I turned that room into 2 different rooms. Hopefully this isn't too confusing, but it'll make much more sense in the second part when you guys can actually see me decorate it. But yeah, so I made the living room a little bit smaller and I put the TV in there, and then I also put the dining room over there as well, and I think it looks really cute. And like I said, I left the kitchen in the original spot too, and I left it mostly the same, like with the tile and the appliances. And the appliances are what I really liked about the kitchen because it has fairly traditional elements throughout the entire home in the original one, and this renovation does too, like very traditional decorations and like the counters in the kitchens and everything, not kitchens, there's only one, but everything was quite traditional, but the appliances were pretty modern, and I felt like it felt very refreshing and kind of updated, so I wanted to leave that existing in the kitchen once I renovated it. So I kept all that, and I think it looks super cute. And then like I said, I do add a greenhouse at the back, or sunroom, I guess we could call it. I more wanted it just to be like a seating room for you or for your Sims, just to like play chess and have a drink and socialize and maybe grow a few plants in there. I don't think I put any planter pots in there, but there is planter boxes on the exterior on the left side of the build where they were originally. I just kind of moved them a little bit, and I completely redid the landscaping. I wanted the landscaping to feel a lot more just lush and grand basically, and I really wanted this to feel like it was somewhere pretty tropical. Willow Creek is supposed to be based off of New Orleans in Louisiana, in case you guys aren't familiar, and yeah, which is quite tropical. I mean, I've never been to that part of the country, so I don't have like firsthand experience, but I've watched TV, of course, and I've seen enough about Louisiana to know that it is a bit humid, and so I think tropical plants do grow there, and so I wanted to add more like palm trees and sort of plants that would grow in a more tropical environment, and just to make it feel really lush and a bit extra, and so I think it definitely does. I also added a swimming pool in the back because I definitely think a big house like this needs a swimming pool, and I also added a play area on the right side of the build. There's nothing there originally. I mean, there is the gazebo, but in front of the gazebo there's just grass and a couple of trees, and so I added some monkey bars over there and also a sandbox because this house does have room to have several children in it, so I definitely wanted there to be some activities for them. Originally I don't think there was any play equipment outside, which is kind of surprising. You would think they would have added something back there, but I don't think there was. I did leave the gazebo back there because I felt like that was pretty nice. I just changed the roofing because I felt like the roofing could look a little bit better. So that was pretty simple. I think I also moved its location just over by like a tile or two, nothing too crazy or anything. And then I also really liked the brick pathway that was around the build. I just liked the shape of it and I thought it looked really nice, and so I mostly kept that. I just changed it a little bit to fit my landscaping, and I also moved the staircase at the entry of the build, so I had to change that up a little bit too, but I think it looks really nice. Here I am just tediously messing with the roof. It was such a project, but I think I made it work in the end. I think it looks like realistic. I think it looks natural for the shape of the house. The shape of the house is, I don't know, it's very different. It's not like a very standard shape. I think it just looks, I don't know, really nice. It looks really interesting, but the roofing was pretty challenging, and so I'm really happy though that I think it turned out pretty nice. You guys will have to let me know what you think. Yeah, so here I am messing around with the pathways. Like I said, I really liked the original ones. I liked how they were curved at the corners, and you guys can achieve this too if you want to just click, I think it's Control F or Shift F. I think it's Control F, and you get the quarter tile placement where you can just place like the little triangles, and that way you can create these little like corner pieces that look really nice. So it's pretty simple. And then here I'm starting with the landscaping, and like I said, I just wanted it to be very lush and kind of tropical feeling, but not too tropical, not like it's in like Sulani or anything. And I especially liked these palm trees that I added next to the staircase at the front of the build. I think that looks so pretty. Oh yeah, I wanted to thank you guys for wishing my husband a happy birthday last weekend. I made a post on my community tab asking you guys to go over to his channel to give him like some support in any way and to wish him a happy birthday, and so many of you guys went over there, so I really appreciate it. And if you guys missed it, his channel is called World Walking Tours, and he's been working really hard to grow it recently, and I really just wanted to thank you guys for like supporting my channel so much, because all of the support has really given my family a lot of like opportunities that we wouldn't have otherwise had, and it really has given him a lot of opportunities to pursue different things rather than, you know, being in the career that he was in for such a long time that was, you know, kind of dangerous and exhausting, and it just, you know, not the way that he wanted to live his life, basically, not his dream. And so I'm very thankful that you guys are here and supporting my channel, and that you guys went over there to support his channel as well. It means a lot to me, so I just want to say thank you, because yeah, things would not be the same without this and without you guys. So you guys are amazing. And yeah, anyways, I'm working on the landscaping. Like I said, I just really like the landscaping on this build. I think the combination of the different greens looks so pretty, and just like the blue hydrangeas, it's nice in my opinion. Sometimes I do landscaping and I'm like, it looks okay, and then other times are like this and I'm just so excited about it just because it fits a build so nicely. And I also feel like it fits the world, and it is a bit more landscaped than I have been trying to do in my other renovations, because if you guys are familiar with the series, my renovations, I've been trying to keep them more in like EA's style, where things are a bit more simply decorated and not so like cluttered. I think this build definitely isn't as cluttered as my regular builds, at least on the interior. Like I tried to keep the decorating a bit more simple, like when it comes to decorating surfaces, just kind of placing things on their snapping points. But this one is definitely a little bit extra. But I do want these builds to be more friendly across different types of players with different computer capabilities. So I've been trying my best to keep things a little bit more simple. And I think this one is fairly simple for a mansion, but it's still a bit extra. So yeah, you guys will have to let me know what you guys think about that. Here I'm adding that sunroom on the back of the build. I really liked adding the glass roof here and the big modern windows. It just lets in so much pretty light, and then you can see out to the garden and the gazebo, and it's just such a pretty view, and I think it would just be a nice place to take screenshots of your Sims and stuff. And then here I continued the porch around the back of the build. I felt like this was definitely necessary, and I really didn't have any reference for the back of the house. So I was just trying to like do my best basically to make it match the front of the build and make it feel like it makes sense and not too crazy and cohesive and all that kind of stuff. Oh yeah, something else that I added on this build that I thought was pretty nice is an attic space. Since I added that balcony at the front of the build at the very top, I wanted a way for your Sims to get up there. And so I added a few activities in the attic space. I made the attic space a lot smaller than it could have been because there was just kind of weird shapes basically, and so I simplified the attic space just to make it a little bit easier to decorate, and I added a couple of paintings up there, I think like a seating area and a piano, just kind of some extra activities. But I felt like it would be a nice space to change up if you had like, you know, particular Sims with certain skills or hobbies or careers or something. You could like easily change the attic space to fit those, or if you needed an extra bedroom for some kids or a roommate or somebody living here, or even like a really cool butler suite, that could be pretty interesting. So I think there's just a lot of different possibilities for that, and I'm really happy that I was able to include it because there was technically an attic space before. It was just empty and there was no windows or access to it, and so it kind of felt like I was keeping an original part of the build that just wasn't accessible before. So I felt like that was pretty fun. But yeah, here I'm just adding the windows and doors to the back of the build. I ended up finding these one doors that I had known existed, but I don't think I've ever really used them, but I felt like they were perfect for this build. So you'll see me find them here in just a moment, and they're just a single tile door, but the blue color was so pretty. It doesn't match like any of the other blues that I was using in the build, but it just felt, I don't know, really nice and really pretty. And yeah, this door right here with the gold and the blue, I just thought it was so cute. And so I was really happy about it because I just can't remember ever using that door before. So I just swapped out the other doors that I was using for that one, and I think it just looks really nice that way. And then yeah, here I'm just adding some more doors and windows and stuff to the back of the build. I felt like a build like this needs like windows everywhere and doors everywhere. You just need like access to all of the different spaces. It kind of reminds me of the house on Forrest Gump, if you guys are familiar with that movie, which I'm sure you are. It's a very popular movie. It's actually probably my favorite movie. I really love that one. Tom Hanks is probably my favorite actor. I don't know. I always feel weird saying like my favorite this or my favorite that because I feel like that changes with time or even the day. And so it's probably not super accurate, but anyways, I really liked that house in that movie, and this one reminds me of it in some way. And I feel like that house, even though I haven't seen that movie in a really long time, I feel like it had like lots of doors and windows because it needed like access to all of the different balconies and porch space and stuff. So I feel like it kind of reminds me of it in some way. You guys have to let me know if you agree. And then here I'm continuing with the pathway leading to the back of the build. Originally it had like a tiny fenced in area with the same pathway, and I actually really liked that area. I felt like it was kind of like cute and cozy. I wanted to leave it like mostly intact, even though I feel like it doesn't end up looking like it at all because I add like the swimming pool and I add a fountain, and it's not so like small and cozy like it was before, but it still feels kind of cozy. I don't know, you guys have to let me know what you think about that too. Yeah, here I'm just continuing with a fence around the pool, and I add this grassy area over here next to the pool, and I was going to turn this into a garden, and I tried decorating it. You guys won't see it in the video because I just cut it out because I just messed with it for so long and I didn't come up with anything that I liked, so I just decided to get rid of it, and I put a couple of trees over there instead. But I think it could have been really cute. I think it's a cute idea, but I just could not make it work. So it was kind of disappointing. I don't know, maybe I should have messed with it a little bit longer, but I just decided just to get rid of it. I don't know, I was looking at it from the swimming pool at like Sim's eye level, and it just felt kind of awkward looking straight into the garden from the pool. And when I say it out loud, it sounds like it would look nice, but I felt like it just looked so awkward. And I think it was just the way I was decorating it for some reason. So yeah, I just got rid of it, but I do think it's a nice idea if you guys wanted to try something like that if you decide to download this build. And then there I did switch up the gazebo a little bit, changing the floor. I think I left the railing and the spandrels and the columns, I think I left all of that alone, but I did add a roof piece because originally it was just flat with like a fence around it, which I think was okay, but I think the roof just makes it look, I don't know, just a little bit nicer. So I was really happy to be able to add that. And then of course there's the swimming pool back here. I added a fountain, and then I add some like lounge chairs next to the pool too. And I play around with these for a little while trying to find exactly where I want to place them. And maybe this is why it felt awkward, just like with the view of the lounge chairs and then the garden, and I just kind of imagined somebody working in the garden and the people are lounging at the pool, which also doesn't sound that ridiculous when I say it out loud, but for some reason when I was doing it, it just wasn't working. So I don't know, I don't really have a good explanation for it. But yeah, I also add a barbecue area next to the swimming pool as well with a bar, which I thought would be really nice for entertaining and having your Sims like hang out and lounge by the pool and stuff. And then here I'm continuing with the landscaping, the same sort of plants and stuff that I was using at the front of the build. Again, just trying to make it feel lush and kind of tropical and just really nice, I think. And then I also changed the grass color too, which I thought made it feel extra fancy. And so yeah, I really like this landscaping. I do end up moving the gazebo over slightly so you can actually walk from the right side of the build back behind the house, because the way I have it currently, you have to walk up through the gazebo to get around the house to the pool, and I felt like that was just kind of unrealistic and impractical, so I do change that here in just a little while. And then over here I got rid of the garden area and I just placed a couple of trees, and then I'm continuing with the landscaping again. Over here is where I end up placing the trash can, and looking back on it, I think I may have like been able to keep the garden in its location and maybe made the entrance over here where I end up placing the trash can. That could have made sense, and then you wouldn't have seen inside of the garden space from the swimming pool, because I think that's what bothered me for some reason. I'm not exactly sure why, but yeah, I don't know. I think there's some possibilities. And then here I'm just messing with the fence, trying to figure out how I want to place it around the build. I didn't want to block the view of the house from the road or anything. And so what I end up doing is actually just using a shorter fence at the front in combination with the larger, more like privacy fence around the rest of the build, which I think makes sense. And I think it looks cute, and I felt like the entryway just felt really grand and really pretty. I like how it has like a circle driveway leading to the build. I wish it kind of like was easier to make it look like it was actually a part of the lot, because the tile is not the same, or the brickwork is not the same at all. We don't have that brick texture in terrain paint. We don't have it in flooring, and it's very frustrating in like most of the Sims worlds. We'll get like a really cool texture in the environment, and then we won't get it in build mode. So you can't actually make a lot look like it fits in its environment completely. Like there's a complete like stark difference where the flooring changes, which I think sometimes you can make it work, and then other times it looks so awkward and you can try your best to make it match and it just doesn't quite match like this one. It's so frustrating. Thankfully though, with the new world that we just got with High School Years Copperdale, in the town center area where there's like the wood planks all over the shopping area, we did get a new flooring added to base game. So I think that was really cool, and I'm really happy that whoever was in charge of matching assets to the world environment did that, because it's very, very helpful. Yeah, over here is where I add the play equipment. So I add some monkey bars and a sandbox. I mentioned recently in a build that I have done a few sandboxes before, but I hadn't done one in a while. So I was really happy to add it to this build because I felt like I really needed to add a sandbox to a build. And I add a dollhouse in there just to give your Sims an activity in there. And of course, now that we can actually build sandcastles in the sand, your Sims can actually do that too. So it's super cute. And then here I'm just continuing with the landscaping, of course, same plants over and over, trying to keep it pretty cohesive. I usually try to do that, trying to keep like the plants, I don't have like a specific number or anything, but I try to keep just like the same ones throughout the entire build, just to make it feel like it all goes together. You know, I feel like it would look a little bit awkward if you used like purple hydrangeas at the front of the build and then like pink flowers around the side and then like yellow flowers in the back. I don't know, it would eventually look a bit crazy, I think, and kind of like clownish in a way. I don't know if that makes sense, but I think it does. Yeah, here I did make the pathway go in front of the gazebo, so your Sims can actually walk in front of the gazebo and not through it if they want to get to the swimming pool from the side of the yard. And then here I just added an outdoor dining table and the barbecue, and then here in a moment I do add a bar area as well. And then just shuffling around the lounge chairs, I do add a couple of tables in between the lounge chairs, and then I forgot to decorate them, and I also felt like the color of them was a little bit awkward. So when I went to go take the screenshots, I do change the color of them. I just felt like the gray matched nothing, and I think I just changed them to white. And then I think I put a flower or some sort of plant on top of them, just because I felt like it needed some sort of decoration. And then here I'm just changing up the flooring in the swimming pool. I felt like this looked pretty nice, just having like the stripe down the center, or kind of like T shape, I guess, or plus shape. It's not quite a plus, but yeah, I felt like that looked pretty good. And then just messed around with the landscaping, trying to make it look, I don't know, the best that I could. And yeah, here I just added the bar area, and then I add some counter space so your Sims have a bit more room to make some food if they want. And then here I'm desperately trying to find room for the trash cans. Sometimes I feel so awkward placing trash cans because I'm like, where do I place them? I didn't want them next to the pool because I felt like when your Sims were taking out the trash while people were swimming or they had guests over, it wouldn't be like, I don't know, the nicest thing. And then if Sims knock over the trash, then it's like just spilled next to like the bar area. It just felt kind of gross. So I put it over in the side yard, and I felt like that looked best. And then yeah, I completely changed up the grass color for the entire build. I try to do that with fancier builds. I feel like it makes them feel a little bit extra fancy. Let me know if you guys agree. And then underneath the plant, I do use just like brown dirt terrain paint to make them feel like they have a place, like there's an actual flower bed they're grown in. And I feel like it just makes a build look a little bit better when there's some terrain paint underneath plants. And sometimes I don't do it because my Reshade has quite a bit of shadow already, and so sometimes I forget about it, but I try to remember. And then over here I create a little like orchard space, I guess we could call it, but I put some of the trees that you can grow in game over here. And yeah, I think it looks super cute. And then I continue with the landscaping again around this side of the build. So there's lots and lots of landscaping, and yeah, I don't know. I think it looks really nice. Hopefully I didn't overdo it. I may have. I feel like that's definitely a possibility, but it would be easier to take away things, I feel like, than completely like try to add it. I don't know, maybe that's not true. Let me know if you guys download a build from the gallery. Is it better to take something away or to add it? And maybe it's different for decorations on the interior than it is on the exterior or landscaping. But let me know. I'm curious because I'm not exactly sure. I haven't downloaded many builds from the gallery and changed them up. Usually I've only downloaded builds to like look at them or play with them when I used to actually play the game. I did download a couple of builds to play with, but mostly I've always just built things for myself. But yeah, here I'm decorating the gazebo. I add a couple of couches and a coffee table, some side tables. I add a couple of these like palm interior plants, which I think look really nice out here, and then also a couple of these live edit objects plants. And then here, moving on to the interior, this will be the only part of the interior that you guys see in this build. I'm just working out the floor plan, seeing what I'm going to change about it, and then the next part will be all of the decorating portion. And then here I'm messing with the staircase. I really wanted like a grand staircase, but staircases just take up so much space, especially when you make them like twice as wide. And so I just decided to change the shape of it and have it not take up so much space. And I think it still feels somewhat grand in a way, but not as grand as maybe it could have felt if it was like a big wide staircase leading up to the second floor. But I don't know, I don't think it was too necessary. I leave the bathroom that was originally here in the same location too. I just turn it into a Jack and Jill bathroom. That way you can access it from both the family room and the living room. And yeah, that way you just don't have to walk all the way around the staircase to get to it, because I could have put the door just on one side, but I felt like that just wouldn't be that accessible to your Sims. And then here I'm just picking out like curtains and wallpaper colors and I don't know, just kind of playing around with things. Maybe I should have included this in the second part, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. I feel like it's kind of part of the building part and not part of the decorating part. I'm just kind of picking out a few things, trying to figure out how everything is going to go. And I actually realized that the kitchen originally was smaller than I ended up making it, because I added this like whole addition onto this side of the build, and so it actually ends up being one tile wider than it was originally, which is kind of ridiculous. It's probably the biggest kitchen I've ever done, but I still really like it. I end up adding more counter space than there was originally. I add a breakfast table in here, which I felt like was pretty necessary. And then on the addition part, I add another bathroom downstairs and then like a mudroom area, which I thought would be nice. Like I was saying, for your Sims, if they're coming inside and they're all dirty, and then they could just pretend, take off their boots, and then go get cleaned up in the shower and bathroom right there. And then here I'm working out the floor plan for the second floor. This is probably the part of the floor plan that drove me the most crazy, just because it felt so weird and there was weird shapes and angles, and it just felt like very unnatural basically. And then here I'm trying to decide if I want to leave the bathroom in the same place and then how many bedrooms I'm going to fit. I ended up adding another door over here. That way this bedroom could also have access to the balcony, because I realized that with like the way I placed the doors, then the other bedrooms were going to have access to the balcony. Only one of the bedrooms end up not having access, but I just turned that into a toddler's room, and so I felt like a toddler doesn't need access to a balcony, because I know if I had a door leading to a balcony off of my toddler's room, I would be terrified. I would like barricade that door and probably board it shut. I would be so paranoid about having any possibility that he could get to a balcony. I would be so scared. And then for the master bedroom, I end up actually making like an entryway to the master bedroom, and then I turn that into an office space, and then I have a big like walk-in bathroom, so it's like open to the bedroom, which I feel like feels extra like a master bedroom. I don't know if you guys will agree with me on this, but my master bedroom in my house is open to the bathroom. The toilet's in its own tiny room. I didn't have the space to do that in this build, but I don't feel like it's always necessary. But I do feel like most of the time when you see like a bathroom that's open to a bedroom, usually at least like the toilet is in like its own little room. But I just didn't make it work in this one. So hopefully it's not that big of a deal. Here I'm giving access to the attic space by adding a staircase. And I really wanted it to be an L shape too. I just didn't quite have the room to make that happen. And yeah, I still feel like it looks nice. And then I do make this room a little bit more simplified, because as you can see with like the dormers and then like the long space leading to the back of the house, it was just kind of a crazy shape. Of course, if you wanted the attic space to be bigger than the way I decorated, there's lots of room to do that. So there's lots of different possibilities to add a lot of like extra space up there for your Sims if they have a lot of different hobbies and activities that they need to do. But yeah, I think this is basically it for the floor plan that I have created. Hopefully you guys have liked this renovation, and hopefully you guys are excited for the second part when I actually decorate this house, because I always love the decorating. It's probably my favorite part of any build. But yeah, here I'm just figuring out the final few details for this part of the build anyways, and the master bedroom was probably the biggest undertaking because it's such a big space, and I played around with a few different options as you will see here, but I think it ends up looking really nice and making sense in the end. You guys will have to let me know that too, but I just sectioned off a little room for the bathroom and then made like an entryway for the bedroom, which I think makes sense. And yeah, this is it for this part. I hope you guys have enjoyed, and I hope you guys do enjoy the screenshot. So thank you so much for watching, and please leave any comments or suggestions you have, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye!